Yes, welcome again, Capricorn. It's your horoscope for February 2015 with me, Dadhichi Toth, from astrology.com.au. Thanks for joining me again, and for those of you that are new, welcome, and I hope you're going to gain some insights into what I have to say about your horoscope in the coming month. Some important transits are taking place. I'll go through them systematically. I don't want to get too technical, but for those of you that have an interest and would like some technical background as to why I'm saying what I am, I include that as well. Look at that moon moving into its fullness in the 7th house of your most important relationships, and then on the 4th of February in the 8th house of sexuality in close quarters with Jupiter. So that can indeed indicate a very, very powerful emotional connection to sexuality and matters of intimacy. And but generally, the Moon and Jupiter is a very buoyant sort of combination, giving what I would call good feelings. And here in your horoscope, that 8th house just happens to be the sign of Leo. So for some of you born under the sign of the goat, you might find yourselves unusually out of character, a bit more jovial, a bit more open, a bit more affectionate and demonstrative in your relationship. And aren't your partners going to love that? That's for sure. Don't forget too that this 8th house is not only about sex. You know, that's the sector of sharing, but that can also relate to sharing your resources and finances. So that full moon there, which of course relates to your partnerships, is there in that area of money. So money can also come to you. There can be investors if you're running businesses, or you've had some idea where you've needed some sort of cash injection. Now is the time to ask for that. And for example, if your marital partner or spouse or de facto has not been on board with some of your projects, here's a perfect opportunity for you to get them to be generous to you and to support you in your creative endeavors. What else do we have here? We see lots of communication associated with your career, with Mercury from your 2nd house of personal income in trine to your career sector. So a lot of communication associated with that. Don't forget too, you've seen for a couple of weeks there the retrogression of Mercury. That is Mercury moving in its apparent reverse motion, which has set things a little backwards, put them on the back burner. Mercury for you rules your 9th house of luck. It also rules your 6th house of work environment, and that can show debts have been the source of some grief for you, but it's nice to know that after the 12th, when it moves forward, this is actually a time when you can regain your financial confidence, I would say. Communication is associated with Mercury, so when we see it moving through these different areas of your horoscope, such as this 2nd sector, then discussions will center around that area. And then we see too the position of the Sun moving into the 3rd house on the 19th. That takes place coincidentally with the new moon in Aquarius, which is again in your 2nd sector, the 2nd space of the zodiac, relating to your income. So these transits have a strong hint of new sources of income, personally earned, and from that 8th house even gifted to you. This can be checks you don't expect, tax returns, pay increases, or even some elevation in rank or status that gives you access to more money, more cash. So that's excellent, and that starts a new cycle. The new moons usually have a lot to say about a new phase of life dawning for you. Mars moves to the 4th house on the 20th. That's not particularly good. It can disrupt your family affairs, and I say that because Mars is not at all a friendly planet to Saturn, which is your ruling planet, and therefore you can expect some squabbles in the family circle, and this will relate more specifically to the female matriarchal side. That could be the mother, an aunt, elder sisters, that sort of thing. Elder sisters too, I say, because the Sun is moving through the 3rd house of siblings, and there can be some problems associated with that. I haven't mentioned also in that third house, Venus, friendly, Neptune, not so friendly, and Mars, not particularly friendly at all. Mixed bag there in the third house of communications and travels. So some of your journeys this month may be fraught with a little bit of difficulty, setbacks, disputes, miscommunications. So you need to clarify all aspects of your discussions before you commit yourself to going on journeys, to also signing on the dotted line on any contracts or agreements. And these we see take place 20th of February. Then we see Venus coming into the fourth house on the 21st. That's fortunate because that can tone down some of the aggressiveness of Mars. And we see on the 22nd, Venus and Mars actually come into a perfect conjunction in that sector, the fourth house. This is also a creative aspect. We see that it also relates to education. So some of you may decide to improve your skill sets. Venus, of course, ruling your 10th house of career, employment, and the 5th house of creativity, children, spirituality. This is a very important planet for you. In fact, in case you weren't aware, Venus is by far the best planet for those of you born under the sign of Capricorn, and having it transit your 4th house should, as I said earlier, tone down the malefic influences of that enemy, Mars, and bring with it some passion. And therefore, on balance, it's not too bad a transit to have. The difficult one we see here is the Sun, the 8th ruler, in square to your ruler, Saturn, around the 24th. So leading up to that, you could be feeling a little bit depressed, lacking in energy, and just nonchalant about your social obligations. You might even pass on some of those opportunities to be with people, as you'd probably prefer to spend quiet time alone. And that's not a bad thing either, though, because we see on the 25th that very, very productive Venus in trine. That's the 120-degree aspect to your ruler, bringing with it a sense of, okay, maybe you'll feel a little bit aloof, but it's not bad. This can give you a greater sense of purpose within yourself, what you want for yourself, what sort of standards to reset. This is like a reboot, if I could call it that. Mars also in trine aspect to Saturn on the 26th, with Sun moving into the conjunction of Neptune on the 26th. Third house there, be careful of contracts again around that time. Make sure you get everything clarified, especially if you feel as though you haven't heard what's been said properly. Don't be afraid to ask the question, what did you say? That will speak. And I hope to see you here again next month, March, as usual. My name's Dadhichi. Astrology.com.au is my site. In the meantime, do join me there for your daily, monthly and yearly forecasts in more detail. The free readings, we have lots of that, and for more personal services such as yours truly reading for you, or some of my associates, those services are there available for you for the more tricky problems in your life. Hope we can be of help. Thanks for joining me again. Till next month, take care. Bye-bye.